Lights, camera, and action.
Welcome to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast.
Remember those childhood movies you loved? We're going to watch them again and find out if they're still as amazing as you remember. Let's get ready to join Anna and Jimmy as they go back and watch those movies you remember being oh so awesomely good. Horror movies that scared. Comedy movies that dared.
Damn!
And action movies so preposterously ludicrous that they defied the laws of common sense. Now, here's your hosts, Anna Santos and Jimmy Coates.
And now, on with the show.
Yay! All right. Welcome back to the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. If you are joining us, we are about to preview The Principal. I am looking forward to this movie.
I always like a good movie about a school in trouble.
Okay, this was a little different. And I did say I have a special place in my heart for The Principal. I am a huge Jim Belushi fan. I even went and saw The Blues Brothers with him and Dan Aykroyd and John Goodman a few years ago. I am a big Louis Gossett Jr. fan. And this is the first R-rated movie I snuck in to watch.
You rebel, you.
Yeah. Me and my friend saw a preview for The Principal and we're like, fuck yeah. We were so young. This came out in 1987. And it was weird, and I don't know why, but another Jim Belushi movie was playing in the theaters called Real Men with him and John Ritter.
Mm-hmm.
And it was rated PG. And I don't know what the studio was thinking that was why that was a good idea. I don't know. So we got tickets to Real Men, which I saw a year later on HBO or something like that. I remember seeing it and being like, hey, that's the movie I was supposed to go and see. And actually, that movie I remember liking too. But we snuck into The Principal, sat at the very back corner, horrible seats. Didn't want to look conspicuous. We look like we should not be in there watching our movie.
Yeah.
But it was like an afternoon show on a weekend or something. It was an older theater. No one seemed to give a shit. It's not like we were on our cell phones or anything. But I remember it fairly well, or so I think. But super excited. I remember violent, funny, and cool. That could be a 10-year-old's memory, though. It was on TV every now and again. I never remember seeing it. I never remember seeing it on DVD, or I would have bought it. It came out in 2002 on DVD, but it wasn't a popular movie. So
Yeah.
Here's hoping. All right. So let's go over the box office. Now, it came out in September 18th, 1987.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta make that bigger. I can't read it. It came in fourth place behind Fatal Attraction, The Pickup Artist, and No, it didn't. Not Reign of Fire, not in 1987. Okay, I got it somewhere. But it had an $11 million budget. It opened with almost 4.3. It had domestic take of 19, international 7, and so it did okay.
Yeah.
First place was Fatal Attraction. Pickup Artist was number 2. Hellraiser actually was number 3.
Hellraiser.
Yeah, so these were all first week movies.
Yeah.
So it didn't really have that much of a chance. Let us go to the tail of the tape. If I can find it. There it is. All right. The Principal is 1987 comedy drama, rated R, and comes in at a hefty 1 hour and 49 minutes.
Damn.
Taglines, buckle up.
I'm ready.
An educator who never plays by the rules, a high school where the only law is survival, will he break it before it breaks him?
That's stupid. I don't like that tagline.
Oh, I didn't add a poster to this one. Rick Latimer had nothing to lose until he was given the one job nobody else dared take.
Oh, God, who wrote that?
To get this job, he had to be crazy. To survive it, he'll have to get even crazier.
No.
To tame the roughest, meanest, and wildest high school in the district, they needed an administrator who was rougher, meaner, and wilder. Enter Rick Latimer.
That is not a tagline.
At a high school where the students major in rioting, racketeering, and rumbling, one man who's never done anything by the book is about to lay down the law.
Also not a tagline. These are blurbs.
He's teaching the students at Brendel High 2 words, no more.
Jesus Christ, that's not a tagline either.
At a high school where the students major in arson, extortion, and assault, the new principal and the head of security just might be crazy enough to turn things around.
Jesus Christ. Those
Ah,
were all terrible. You know what
yeah,
would have been a proper tagline? No more.
no more, which
You know
is
you
the
know what
basic
else?
motto of the movie.
They're crazy, he's crazier. That's a fucking tagline.
Yeah.
Who wrote this bullshit? Christ.
I think we got the gist of it from the taglines, but here's the synopsis. A down on his luck high school teacher, James Belushi, is promoted to principal at Brendel High, a school where kids major in street fighting and gang intimidation instead of reading and writing. With the help of Brendel's head of security, the new principal fights the system and begins to teach lessons in human compassion and self-respect. But is it worth losing his life?
Yes.
Movie poster. For those listening, it has James Belushi, Louis Gossett Jr., Ray Dong Chong. She's in this movie as well. I
Mhm.
really liked her. They use, can I read it from here? Hold on. They use one of those giant
It's
taglines
at
on
a
the
high
movie poster.
school when the students major in arson. Wait, I can do this. I believe in me. Because I'm old. Arson something and assault, maybe. The new principal and the head of security just might be crazy enough to
Turn things around.
turn things around. You got it.
Yeah. And they're in a school, big giant window, which is busted. You can see in the reflection of the window a bunch of look like gang members. Louis Gossett
Hooligans.
Jr. and Jim Belushi is standing at the broken window with a baseball bat. I like the
Mhm.
poster.
I like the poster
I don't
too.
like the tagline.
No, the
The
tagline is shit,
poster.
but the poster does the job that the tagline is supposed to do and give you the feel for the movie.
Yeah.
Because what they wrote is a bunch of bullshit.
And this is no more is that's what they should have.
That's what they should have gone with.
Yeah.
Jesus.
All right. So Rotten Tomatoes has 10 critics and it's a 50-50.
Oh, wow.
And it has just over 5,000 audience and it comes at 51, just slightly better than 50-50. So these are fresh. You can start.
Thank you. I'd like to see Morgan Freeman take over this school. Michael A. Smith, Nolan's Pop Culture Review, original score 3 out of 5.
James Belushi is great in The Principal, whether he is giving a speech, throwing out a one liner, or just raising an eyebrow. Douglas Pratt, DVD Laser, original score 3 out of 5.
An arresting drama starring likable Jim Belushi as an anti hero principal trying to clean up a violent, drug infested high school. Won't be a favorite of ACLU members. Chuck O'Leary, Fantastica Daily, original score 3 out of 5.
I know it looks like I
Valid.
just forgot to take out the original score. They're all 3 out of 5, the ones that
Mm,
did it. Violent, but still darkly humorous. Christopher Kane's The Principal takes the old new teacher comes to rough high school and takes out the garbage theme and adds Belushi's renowned sense of wit and likability. Caffeinated Clint, movie hole. All right, The Rotten.
bypasses heartwarming stuff completely, going instead for macho yelling and simple 2 word slogans. Class dismissed. Ryan Cracknell, Apollo Guide, original score 63 out of 100.
I thought that was a good score, but
That's a pretty good score, actually.
yeah, what's wrong with a bit of macho yelling? Despite the Sybil like plot and questionable Rambo mentality, there's something watchable about it all. Weird it is, flop it ain't. Desson Thompson, Washington Post, original score 5 out of 10. It's still it's not bad.
No, it's not bad. The principal almost has something to say about inner city high schools. public education in the 80s, and race relations. It never deals with these issues, and a good cast is abandoned in the parking lot. Thomas B. Harrison, Tampa Bay Times, original score 4 out of 10.
That's a bad review.
Yeah.
The Principal has no principle. It aspires to be a gritty look at a troubled inner city school, but despite all its tough talk and its seething student, it's a cornball fantasy. Hal Boddicker, the Miami Herald, 2.5 out of 10. Ooh.
That's harsh.
All right. IMDb, 13,000 user ratings, give it 5.5 out of 10. Let us start 10 through 6. Positive user ratings. I just did that, so go ahead.
One of the best teacher takes over movies I've seen. 10 out of 10. Night Loyalty.
And they have made a lot of teachers take over.
They really have.
Yeah.
They really have.
Some of them are good, Lean on Me.
Yeah.
Some
Oh.
of them are bad, Dangerous Minds, Freedom. There's a lot of cheesy ones.
There's a lot of cheesy, also white savior ones, but it's
Yeah.
fine.
Stupid, but entertaining. 9 out of 10. Angela
Angels
Sunchain.
Unchained.
Unchained. Angels Unchained. That would have took me 3 more tries to get there. Angels Unchained.
That's what I'm here for. Dangerous Minds on Speed. 8 out of 10. Cinema Love.
Yeah, that sells me right there. Lean on Me's moody, pessimistic older brother. 7 out of 10. Son of Mansfield.
That's fantastic. To Sir with Love meets Dirty Harry. 6 out of 10. El Chic 4.
To Sir with Love. Isn't that Sidney Poitier?
Yes, so good.
Yeah. Okay, 5 to 1. These are not so good. An enjoyable but highly unrealistic film. Oh, it wasn't so bad. 5 out of 10. Uriah 43.
Uriah 43.
Uriah.
It's a bad movie, but at times you can see something good peeking through. 4 out of 10. Ted Forsyth.
No more. I don't think they mean it in a good way. 3 out of 10. Tuck Frump.
That's fucking amazing. Awfully Simple. Simply Awful. 2 out of 10. Red 125.
And plain and simple, this is a racist movie. 1 out of 10. Naps.
Naps. Yeah, sure.
So
I like how it ends on just a straight up. This is a racist movie.
It's just racist.
It's just racist.
So we will watch the trailer here and then we'll make our predictions. All right.
Some people think Rick Latimer shouldn't be a teacher.
All right, bring him up. Linda, I want you wearing a bra to class.
Rick, grow up.
I'm trying.
And now he's been promoted to the bottom of the barrel. A war zone called Brendel High. His job? Principal.
Who do you think you are, Dirty Harry or somebody?
So you're the new principal, huh?
Yes. Hi. Must be the captain of the debating team? No?
Come from all over the district. They even come with their own customs and traditions. Burglary, weapons, truants, all them nice things.
I want you guys to be comfortable here. I want you to think of this school as a home away from prison.
Man, do you know where you are? Ain't you heard what they say about this school?
His opposition. Everybody.
No more gang intimidation, arson, robbery, rape, or whatever the hell you've been majoring in here. No more!
You talk too much.
Can you tell me what class this is for?
Any class Victor Duncan tries to kill me in.
This school here is my school. I make the rules.
I want these guys put on temporary payroll as security guards.
But they're teachers!
They're big teachers.
His allies. Just one.
I'm glad you're here.
I know you glad. You'd be dead by now.
They want to keep him out.
If you're trying to reach me, I just cut your hand off.
I got another one.
He wants
I want to make a school out of this place.
to keep them in.
Give me 5, I'll buy. Come on the side. Down low. Too slow, man. You can't just teach the easy ones and throw the rest in the garbage.
You're not the principal here anymore. And if you come back tomorrow and you try, you're going home in a body bag.
James Belushi
I'll be here tomorrow.
and Louis Gossett Jr.
Hey, Rick. I'll be here too, man.
in The Principal.
Very 80s.
So 80s.
All right. What is your prediction for The Principal?
I think I'm gonna like it, but I also think I'm gonna think it's super cheesy.
I got that from the from the
From the down low
trailer.
too slow?
Like I said, I'm already biased because I do have a lot of good memories for the
Mhm.
it's and this is kind of when I put this on our list and we chose this one. This was one of those ones where I'm like, oh no. Like this was me and my buddy, our first R-rated movie that we snuck
Yeah.
into, and it'll break my heart if it sucks.
Just setting yourself up for disappointment.
Yeah. Okay, that's our predictions. And with that, we are going to go watch The Principal and find out if it is indeed as good as I remember it, since Anna hasn't seen it.
Mhm.
You heard them. Movie time. Let's all go to the lobby and get ourselves a treat, and then watch a classic kick-ass movie from whenever the one we're about to watch was made.
Welcome back to the I Remember Liking That podcast. We are so happy you came back. I have watched The Principal. Have you, Anna?
I have.
So, what is your initial thoughts on The Principal?
The cheese factor, literally so high, it's immeasurable. And I don't hate it, but I don't like it either. Like, that's I had a really big love-hate relationship with this movie. So much to unpack.
Yeah. Do you agree with Principal Latimer? No more.
I'm so glad there was no more of this movie.
My initial thoughts, because I was wrong when we were doing and I think Rotten Tomatoes is wrong. This is an action movie.
This is supposed to be an action movie?
Well, action comedy with it has a lot in it. Like it
Yeah.
tried to do a lot,
Mm,
but it is 100% an 80s movie through and through.
100%.
Everything about it is 80s, like the funny slash tough lead, the insurmountable odds, even for being a high school. Like, where's the military in this place?
Oh
Uh,
god, yeah.
the jokes, the ridiculous action, the action that really doesn't even make sense.
The
But
music score?
the music score, oh, the music score is so 80s. But unlike like a lot of movies, like it aimed to be fun, and I did have a lot
Mhm.
of fun. Perfect? No.
Shocking.
Fun? Yes, to me.
Mm.
And this movie is not like most save the students, save the class, save the school movies. This is like, if you haven't seen this movie or can't quite remember it, where most of our bad school redemption movies, and I do like those movies, most
Mhm.
changes to the school is done by reaching out to the students, believing in the students, by opening their minds and their hearts. The principal takes a more tough love approach.
Okay. I don't feel any no, here okay. So here's where I have my issue, because you say more of a tough love approach. Now,
Mhm.
we've all seen the I'm gonna get tough on these students and show them that they need to stop behaving like hooligans in order to get an education.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm down for that. I love a good, like, redemption story. What I have an issue with here is the nonsensicalness of how the Principal Latimer, just all of a sudden, like, it's nothing I don't understand. I I don't understand, because it's like nothing really happens, but that's what gives him his "That's it, no more," and I'm like, "What?" But I don't get it. And he takes kind of an interest in students,
Yes.
but not enough to actually get to know the students. He's just like, "No, like, this is you're gonna do better." And then
Yeah.
they're all like, "Sure, yeah, of course." I
Well, not all of them say that.
well, eventually they all do.
And you're right. He
It
reaches
takes
out
some
to,
time.
yeah, he reaches out to some students. He punches
Yeah.
some students. He kicks some students.
I mean, I was down for the students he did punch and kick.
Yeah. And he
Yeah.
gets punched and kicked himself.
Yes. Yes, in
There,
some of the most uncoordinated fight scenes I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, it's so 80s.
So 80s. So 80s. It's fantastic.
Because you could tell that a lot of the fight scenes, there weren't a lot of stunt, like Jim
Mm.
Belushi and other actors did their own fight scenes, and you could
You
tell.
can tell. Yes. I'm like, I throw better punches and I haven't boxed in a while. So
Yeah. And there is a hint of, I guess, weight savior in the movie.
a hint.
Um, but it's not so in your face and blatant like the others. Like he's not at home with his wife saying, "I just need to reach them somehow." No, he's in.
Oh yeah, no. He's a
Yeah,
hot mess. God bless.
yeah. Which kind of it made it a little. I don't know. I think it made it a little easier to swallow. Like,
I think so a little bit because I liked it when because he starts out with not giving a fuck. Cool. I'm
yeah,
down. And then he starts giving a fuck because he realizes he's stuck there.
he's stuck. Yeah, he has no choice.
So he's like, let's just make this better.
Yeah, yeah. He's not doing it for
No, he's
out of the
not
goodness
doing
of his
it.
heart. No.
No, it makes the white guy going into the predominantly minority filled school and trying to make it better more
Yeah,
palatable.
yeah. He's not
Like,
dancing in the classrooms with the kids, and
yeah, no, he's not trying to be anybody's friend. He's just like, yo, can y'all not kill anybody while I'm principal?
yeah,
And not start fights
yeah,
and not fuck up shit because I just want to ride this out. And I'm like,
yeah.
I respect that.
Because if he wasn't in the emergency room, he was in the bar or he was looking for a new job.
Yeah, God bless.
Which made it very different from the Dangerous Minds, the Lean On Me's, the Freedom
Yeah,
Writers. It made it way different. Okay, so all right, well, let's dive into this movie.
yeah.
After spotting his ex-wife Kimberly in a bar one night with her attorney, alcoholic high school teacher Rick Latimer instigates a fight with him, culminating in Rick bashing the hapless man's car with a baseball bat. Rick is arrested for the incident. I like the open, and I think it was a Porsche that he kicked the shit out of.
It was a Porsche that he
Yeah.
kicked the shit out of. Here's my issue with the opening. It's not a big issue. I first want to applaud this film for having an age appropriate ex wife for him.
Yes.
Because I was
Yes.
like, thank you for not being a 22-year-old,
Model.
like size
Victoria's Secret
2.
model.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, I appreciate you having a real woman who looks age appropriate to this guy who's in his 30s. I'm like, I appreciate you. Thank you. All of his little buddies that he was sitting with, drinking and smoking with, none of the other ones were smokers.
Yeah.
How can you tell? Because of the way they're holding their cigarettes.
Oh
And
yeah.
I
It's,
was like, this is, and you can, yeah, they were literally, the cigarettes were like down there. And I
yeah.
was like, sirs. But the only issue I really had, like I loved it when he snapped, went over the bar, grabbed the bat. Love that. Runs through the bar to like the live music area.
Yeah.
The divorce attorney boyfriend gets up, runs, falls over the railing. I
Yeah.
appreciate that. When he gets outside where it's pouring rain, because you really have to hammer home how sad and pathetic this is. He stands there while the guy is struggling to get into his car and says, "Come here."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Sir, if you're filled with rage, you're just running up to him and like hitting him with the bat."
Yeah.
So I like how he waited until he got in the car and then started hitting windows.
Even when the lawyer was gone.
Yeah. I was like, "Why would you what?" And then everybody's just standing outside with umbrellas, smart people,
Yeah.
watching this happen. And then you hear the sirens. And I was like, I would have appreciated it more if when he came outside,
He was like already getting
the guy
in.
was already in the car, like shutting the door. Then by all means destroy the car. Because
Yeah.
they can't have him actually like hurting the guy yet. Because then he wouldn't be able to teach, and then this movie couldn't happen. So that was my one like picking moment. Well, sorry, two. The non-smokers, smoking smokers, and him waiting in the rain for the guy to get in the car,
To
even
get
though
in the
he's
car.
struggling to get into it. I'm like, if you had just had the guy, like the lawyer boyfriend, getting into the front seat as he came out and
Yeah.
shutting the door, and then let him have at it.
Yeah.
That my one and only issue, because I was like, why is he standing there just telling him to come to him? Nobody's gonna go to the angry guy with the bat.
No. No.
I was like, that's a flaw. But other than that, I really enjoyed the destruction of property.
Yeah, because he even yells at the car when he loses his bat
Yeah.
and
Give me
demands the
back
car
my
give it
bat.
back. Yeah.
Like, it's not even your bat.
I loved how he's sitting at the station. He's being written up or typed up on one of those
Yeah,
old Barney Miller type, and like occupation, and he smiles. High school teacher.
that was great. I was like, yeah, that fits. Also, the typewriter, it's 1987.
Yeah.
That's still what they used.
Finding that Rick's behavior is tarnishing the school district's image, the Board of Education decides to transfer him elsewhere and send him to Brendel High, a crime ridden and gang dominated institution where unruly kids are sent after being expelled from other schools. I like how he's actually excited at first until the that he's getting a principal job
Mm.
until he's like, wait a minute, where? Brendel
Well,
High.
I like that he was mildly suspicious because he was
Yeah.
like, wait a second, I applied years ago. They're like, yeah, and a position just opened up. And you can see the hope die in his eyes.
Yeah, because he says, why am I not excited, Frank?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I'm like, good times.
Then when he's told he has no choice, he better be thankful and go. And he's like, fuck you. And he's like, what'd you say? I said, thank you.
Yeah. I will point out though, when he's in the classroom, he makes one comment, which I'm like, I'm probably sure it was an ad lib and the men on the set found it hilarious. But when he
Oh,
tells
the
the female
bra?
student, yeah,
Yeah.
wear a bra to class next time, it's not going to make your grade better. And I was like, pretty sure that's super inappropriate and kind of gross. Ew. But that's just me. I was like, I don't like that. But it was 1987,
And it
so
was 1987. Yeah.
that was the height of hilarity.
Yep. Initially, Rick is just as lost, incorrigible, and hopeless as the students of Brandex, the nickname that everyone calls the school.
Mhm.
There were a lot of high school movies of troubled schools in the 80s, well, 70s, 80s, and 90s, but I can't think of any as violent as this movie.
No,
Maybe
they
Class of
went.
84, which is a violent movie, but it's
I
more of a
don't.
horror thriller type thing.
Yeah, this
But
one
this
went
is,
like
yeah,
way over the not way over the line. Th- My main complaint about this entire movie is that it is very cliche and it's very in your face because they try to make a lot of kind of plot points and move forward really quickly. So
yes.
they'll throw something in your face and be like, and now we're moving on. And you're like, whoa. So they were like, this is a violent school. And they literally, I'm like, there is no way that school could still be functioning with like 3 security guards
Yeah.
and still be, oh, what? Like, uh, like it was intense. And I was like, no, even the most violent high schools aren't that rough.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I wouldn't go to this high school at all.
Nobody would.
No, I'd be sick every day. I'd say I'd invent because it's 87. I'd be inventing homeschool.
Nah, man, the Mormons beat you to that.
Yeah, that's true. I did remember the drinking of the Coke and the chocolate powder.
Yeah.
Um, and his first day starts with a gang because the plot misses this. The gang in a car chasing down another kid and going right through the
Mhm.
fence, dragging the kid. Knives being brought out. Him trying to break the kids up, getting them expelled, and meeting the teachers that have really no interest in dealing with that that type of stuff there.
I mean, that is actually very true to life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially teachers just not giving a fuck.
So, believing he can repair his image by cleaning up the school, Rick holds an assembly and declares his intentions no more. No more drugs, no more running in the hallways, no more being late to class. During his speech, Victor Duncan, the leader of the school's dominant gang, derides Rick in front of everyone, then walks out. This sparks a small riot, which earns Rick the anonymity of the teachers and Jake, the school head of security and a graduate of Brendel. I like this scene.
Mm.
Um,
I liked every scene with Louis Gossett Jr.
yeah, I like Louis Gossett. He's awesome.
Him, forever and always. This is terrible to say. He made this movie.
And Victor did look kind of old.
He did look like he was 45 years old, no joke.
Yeah.
I was like, "Sir, why are you still in high school? Have you been failing for the last 20 years? 25 years? 30 years?" He did look super old, but they also established that he apparently snorts the merchandise.
Yeah.
So just premature aging. That's what I'm
Ye-
chalking it up to.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, just rough life.
Rough life.
And Jake did give him before this the tour of the school and kind of
Mm,
it gave us too kind of a rundown of what like it's all expelled students. It's
yeah.
yeah, it's the worst of the worst being sent to
It's
this
the
one
students that
school.
can't go anywhere else. Like
Yeah,
this is it.
yeah. It looked like a pretty tough school, and the assembly kind of showed that a lot. Like, yes, some look like they were from Breaking Two, Electric Boogaloo.
Some. It was you could tell who would electric boogaloo.
Yeah, yeah. And Rick, the principal, was told he was nuts when he said he was calling it assembly, like in the clip at the
Mm,
beginning. For those who are listening, Principal Latimer goes to the teacher's lounge where it is full with some teachers who should be in the classroom teaching. He gets mad and tells the teachers to get all the kids to the auditorium for general assembly. And they're like, "Are you insane? Like, these are the worst kids." And then when James Belushi gets to the and sees all the kids, and he's like, "Holy shit, like he made a mistake." It's not the amount of students, it's the amount of students that are expelled from other like it's knowing that most of them are all bad.
I think that was the first time he really put 2 and 2 together, that the
Yeah.
school is full of students that no other school wants, and the school none of these students wanna be there.
No.
So that was when he was figuring out where he was like, "Well, shit," and then he
Yeah.
already knows from the scene in the teacher's lounge that none of the teachers wanna be there,
No.
because one of them was supposed to be teaching a class at that time, and he
Yeah.
was like, "Nah."
And
Was
that's when he
excusing
does his little jump over the table and
he throws the standing ashtray, which I was
Yeah.
like, "There's a lot of smoking that happens in this school,"
Yeah.
and I was in a school in 1987. It was elementary school, but it was still school. There was no smoking in the school.
No.
I was like, What was happening at this time that everybody's just like, "Imma light up a cigarette while walking down the hall."
Yeah, you were not Brendel.
No, it wasn't.
Because the amount of students, even when they were walking through the hall, that looked like they cut you if no one was looking. Yeah. Eventually, Rick manages to enforce his policies, getting rid of the drugs being dealt in the bathrooms and clearing out the hallways, but not always successful. So, what follows for 10 or so minutes is, well, it's a montage.
This is an '80s movie.
It's an 80s movies, and it's a great montage.
Mm,
First, he hires the gym teachers as security to add to the security they already had because they're big. Because the one teacher's like, they're just gym teachers. And he's like, yeah, but they're big gym teachers.
yeah.
Then the music starts. The new security guards, the old security guards are now starting to go through the halls. They're looking through lockers. They're chasing kids. I did love the part where Principal Latimer is chasing one or two kids and then kind of gives up. And
Yeah.
then Jake appears with them in frame with the two students. But then another kid goes running and then he's like, shit, he
Oh
has to
god.
start chasing
And
them.
then he starts running after him, yeah. There were some moments in the montage, and then, like, they're forcing them back into class and cleaning their shit out of lockers, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Okay. Look at him cleaning up it's the cleaning up the school montage."
Yeah. So cheesy. Oh, I like the kid that was stealing all the food from
Yes.
the whatchamacallit. He's like, how'd that get there?
What? It's like, "No, put it back." "Okay." And then they unzip the jacket and more food falls out. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
smart kid.
I like the montage. It was a tough
Mm,
montage. It was tougher than like a Karate Kid montage. Maybe not as tough as a Rocky montage. Definitely not as tough as a Rambo montage.
no.
But like any like other teen movie, it was definitely tougher than that. And that's where he runs out of Coke and puts the chocolate powder in
Beer.
beer. His Coors beer,
Yes,
which
which
was a
did not
stubby.
work out.
No, and this is
Um
before school. And he just
Yeah,
drinks the
I
beer.
was a little concerned about him and his there's a scene later that I'm like, "None of this makes sense," but okay.
Yeah, didn't exactly send the best messages,
No, not at all.
but it was
Not even a little.
funny, and it was the 80s. I'm pretty sure by 10:30 a.m., my kindergarten teacher was high as a kite. She was a chick from the 60s, and she was awesome, but she wore the
Yeah.
60s she had the beads and the flower in the hair, Miss Pettijohn. We had nap time on those mats. I'm pretty sure she was outside getting high. And everything. And then
Oh my
she came
god.
back and we did art, and she was really into it. And
Mm.
everybody's work was beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, but every kindergarten teacher says that because
Because they're all high.
they're not allowed to say that's shit.
Yeah, no, that's true. This is also where the girl who was selling drugs in the bathroom,
Mm,
Trina, played by Kelly Jo shit.
Minter.
Yeah, she was in Summer School, Nightmare on Elm
Yeah.
Street 3, a bunch of movies. She drops out. The principal sees she has good grades and only 3 months to go, so he goes to her apartment to offer to help her graduate. She shows up. She says she has to go to the bathroom. He hears something outside, looks, and kids are destroying his motorcycle. He's yelling through the window. That's when Victor's gang pops up behind him and then beat the shit out of him.
They really do, but, here's my other I had a problem with this when he offers to tutor her. I'm like, "You just said her grades were good enough to graduate. She's dropping out because she needs to make money.
Yeah.
You tutoring her at 6 o'clock in the morning when she's a single teenage mother doesn't do anything to solve that problem. You just said her grades were good enough to finish." So I was like, "This makes no sense to me." So I was like, "That's weird." And then as soon as she said, Can I go to the bathroom?" I was like, "Oh, dude,
Yeah.
you're about to get attacked. You're gonna get jumped."
Yeah, and then he actually, after he's done again the next day or whatever, he's all cut up and he goes back to her apartment and still offers to help her.
Mm,
I wouldn't.
I know you wouldn't.
No.
But I also love that directly after he gets the crap beaten out of him, he's just walking down the hall all bloodied and shit,
Yeah.
goes to pick up a piece of his motorcycle, goes into, I guess, the shop class,
Yeah. I'm
throws that
guessing, yeah.
piece of his motorcycle and says, "Who did it?" They said, "We're not telling you." And he said, and then they said, "But we can try to fix it."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Put it back the way it was." And then he walks away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Kind of demanding.
Yeah, I was like, this is a very odd conversation, but I'm running with it. Sure.
As the students are now forced to go to class, some of the more unruly ones become increasingly disruptive, including troublemaker White Zach, who eventually attempts to rape one of the teachers, Miss
Orozco.
Orozco. Orozco?
Orozco.
Okay, so we'll go back a bit here. The halls are clean, but now the teachers are complaining all the troublemakers that didn't go to class are now in the class and it's a zoo.
Mhm.
Latimer says you can't just teach the bad ones you can't just teach the good ones and throw the bad ones away. And then Radon Chong, I guess I can't pronounce it,
Orozco.
Orozco, embarrasses White Zach and he decides to assault her, which we also learn later is a deal with White Zach and Victor to join his gang. But
Mm.
she throws a chair at one of the classroom windows, which alerts Rick to her distress. He then rides his motorcycle into the school and chases down White Zach, beating him unconscious and stuffing him into a trash can. This was part of the live recording we did every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Just like and subscribe, and you will be notified via social media of our upcoming live recordings. What was I saying? Yes, the Siskel and Ebert, where they were like, yes, totally fantasy. The principal driving his motorcycle through the halls and stairs, but Siskel was like stupid. Ebert was like, it was cool. I thought it was cool to look at. How White Zach didn't hear that fucking motorcycle coming.
I have so many problems. Don't get me wrong. Concept of it,
Yeah.
so cool.
Yeah.
100%. He could not have possibly gotten enough speed to go up those stairs.
It'd be hard.
It would be really hard. But it's hilarious to me because I'm like, so from the time that window is broken, okay, the time that it would take you to race on a motorcycle through this school
Yeah.
to the classroom, which is not that far away, why did it take that long?
Yeah.
It
He
took
could
him
almost ran.
forever to get up there. And I was like, you should have been there in 3 minutes or less.
Yeah.
But
Dramatic effect.
it took no, that was just I was like, "Sir." And then White Zach doesn't hear it.
No.
He's I was like, "Is he deaf?"
Like
I
that
don't
motor
understand.
would have just
It's
echoed, like
because
bellowed through that hallway.
It's a full ass, this is not an electric bike. This is a
No, this is
motorcycle.
a motorcycle. Yeah, it
Like,
would
this
have.
is a full, like, I don't know my motorcycle, but it's not one of those, like, speedy little ones that they're all
No.
like, "Zoom, zoom." No, it's not one of those. So I was like, What?" First of all, it takes forever to get to the classroom, and then second of all, White Zach doesn't hear it and start running
Yeah.
unless he's a moron, which, I mean, I'm not discounting.
No. Well, he started running once the motorcycle broke through the doors.
Yes, yes, because that's when he finally heard/saw
Yeah.
it.
Oh, that's what that sound is.
It was the breaking of the door that alerted him to the fact that there was a motorcycle in the school.
Yeah.
I have so many problems with this movie.
Victor, meanwhile, continues to assert his influence on the school, going so far as to brutally beat Emil.
Yes.
Yeah, a former member of his gang who warms to Rick's teaching style and actually starts learning. Rick
Mm,
later finds him hanging by his ankles after being thrown through a skylight in the school. So Emil is the kid who gets in trouble at the beginning of the movie with
yeah.
White Sack. He helps beat up Latimer when they jump him. I love when he got detention and Latimer was making him do push-ups,
Yes.
and then Latimer was teaching Arturo,
Yep.
yeah, to read, and then because Ray Don Chong was gone, and he just stops and breathes real heavy and is like 42, 40.
I liked Emil in this movie, and I like his arc because it's one of the ones that doesn't feel super rushed.
Yes, there was actually, yeah, it was
There
well
was
paced
actual,
throughout the
like,
movie. Yes,
well-paced growth so
yeah,
that when he finally kinda warms up to Latimer, you're like, "Okay, I saw this coming. It makes sense." And
yes,
then when he ends up hanging by his ankle, you feel for him, and you're like, "Oh, no,
yeah.
not
Poor Emil.
Emil." But he did well.
Yeah,
He did well, especially in the hospital. But can we talk about that montage? The hurt feelings montage
yeah,
that
because he
Rick
was at
Latimer
the
had?
bar hammering those drinks, and then he was on his bike on the way to the hospital.
At, like, 9 o'clock in the morning, because the chairs are still on the tables, it's full sunlight going,
Yeah,
and he's drinking a lot, he's stumbling, he can't even walk straight,
no,
but I'm supposed to believe that he was able to hold up his motorcycle, riding it across town to go to this hospital, and he made it there safely?
yeah.
Nah, man.
Would have been funny if you like cut and that like it pans over and the bike's in a bush. And then he's going to talk to me later. I'm sorry, I never want to come. Dude, never.
See, that would've made more sense. That
That
would've
would
made more sense.
have been awesome. Rick himself is also ambushed and beaten while Victor's gang defaces his motorcycle. Oh, thanks a
Mm.
lot, plot from Wikipedia that I donate money to on the regular. That happened 30 minutes ago. God. Arturo and his friends in shop class repair the motor. Yeah, okay. Okay. We already covered that. That's happened way earlier.
They also gave him a very special paint job that says El Principal.
El Principal on his helmet, too.
Yeah, to match his gas tank, so fancy.
After a confrontation in the lunchroom, Victor threatens Rick, warning him that if he shows up the next day, he's going to die. So the principal sees Victor in the cafeteria, and
Yep.
Victor says, "How's it hanging?" and has a rope that is noosed, referring to Emil getting hurt. Latimer attacks him and rubs food in his face. Victor then threatens that if he shows up tomorrow, he's dead. He's expelled.
Yes, he is expelled, and also he has a problem with his saliva.
Yeah, yeah. I think that was his acting method
It was just
to
pouring
show,
out of his
yeah,
mouth, and I was like, "It's weird.
to show his
It's gross."
angst, his anger, and his angst.
I always drool when I'm super angry. Always.
I just do it when I'm
Like
hungry. Get my Homer Simpson drooling on. Riff scoffs and walks away, and Victor continues to threaten him. Later, Jake asks if Latimer is going to show up, which Latimer says yes. Jake says he'll be there too. Then we also get a backstory on Jake, who went to Brendel when it was a decent school, got a scholarship for football, went to the NFL a bit, played a bit, and blew out his knee, got dropped, and returned to Brendel as a security guard.
Mhm. Also,
Well,
this is another good point about this movie. They're very few and far between for me, so I like to point them out whenever they come up. When Victor is threatening Rick and Rick's walking away, you can see the unease and kind of the, like, mild admiration that the students have for Rick at this point.
yeah,
So I was like, "Oh, oh, the tides are turning."
yeah.
people are like, "Oh, someone can stand up to Victor. Like, we don't have to be under his tyranny." It's a nice touch.
Yeah.
We just
Yeah.
wanted to point that out.
Also, we get the backstory, and then we also learn that White Zach skipped bail and is at large. And Ray Don Chan decides to leave for a private school upstate.
Mm.
The next day, after classes have been dismissed, Victor and his crew show up and sneak into the school while Jake goes to chain the doors. Rick attempts to call 911, but discovers that Victor's crew has cut the phone lines. White Zach also sneaks back into the school.
Yes.
A game of cat and mouse ensues. Jake gets locked in a storage closet by one of Victor's crew while Rick hides in the girls' shower room with a baseball bat waiting for Victor. I like this scene. I thought it was well done.
No, this
Uh,
scene I could totally handle.
yeah. I mean, Jim Belushi with the one-liners as he's hiding was silly. Because it was funny when he realized Victor had a gun. He's like, someone's cheating. And he didn't whisper it at all.
No.
But the use of the shower being turned on, the slamming of the doors, it was pretty intensifying. After a brief chase, Victor and Jojo corner him. While holding Rick at gunpoint, Victor orders Jojo to cut him, but Jojo refuses, telling Victor that killing Rick would bring down the crew. Victor shoots and kills Jojo, but before he can shoot Rick, Arturo intervenes and strikes Victor with Rick's baseball bat. I thought that was a bit harsh. I mean, he could have just kicked Jojo out of the gang,
Well, it was funny because I'm like, "So you're real quick to shoot JoJo,
but not
but
the
you won't
principal.
shoot Rick, who you've been chasing around this bathroom for the last, like, 10
Yeah.
minutes."
Have you never seen a fucking James Bond movie, dude?
Jesus
There were still like
Christ.
18 that had been made up into 1987. Yeah, you didn't have to shoot him in the head, but yeah,
Yeah, that was a little harsh. I was
yeah.
like, "JoJo didn't deserve that."
No, no,
JoJo
JoJo
was just like,
wasn't.
I'm not gonna go to prison because you want me to kill someone.
Yeah,
I'll go to
I,
prison because I wanna kill someone, but not
yeah.
you."
And given the choice, I'm sure JoJo, if knowing that he would be shot in the head, would have gladly killed or cut the principal.
He shoulda cut Victor.
Yeah,
Like, I don't understand what you get close enough, you have his trust, eliminate him. It's not that hard.
no. The distraction leads to a showdown in the school halls between Victor and Rick. This is after Jake beats up the other guy. I
Mhm.
don't know his name, but he had really shiny
I
hair.
He really did. That was a lot
Initially,
of what is it? Something glow?
yeah,
Oh god, I can't remember.
him and JoJo look like they could have electric boogalooed.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
100%.
definitely. Victor seems to have the upper hand, but Rick overpowers him and beats Victor senseless, throwing him through the schoolhouse doors. This is where the 80s didn't just shine through, it blinded you. When Victor is winning, then Latimer catches a punch and then grabs the second punch and smiles, saying, "My turn." Yeah, that was pretty 80s. Pretty 80s. Rick's beating of Victor greatly shocks the rest of the school who witnesses the fight. Several students cheer Rick on, much to the chagrin of Victor's gang members. After a small fight breaks out, Rick again declares no more, which stops the fight quickly. The police finally arrive and Victor is arrested and taken away. The cops in the 80s are the worst.
Mm,
I mean, I don't remember a movie where they were good in the 80s. They were either too
no,
scared or corrupt. Everyone had to take the law into their
or
own
just
hands
inept.
or
Just
inept.
completely inept.
Yeah, you needed a gun in the 80s.
Yes.
And you need to know how to fight. You can't count on the cops. TV cops were
No.
okay, but movie cops sucked. A student asks Rick, "Hey man, who the hell do you think you are?" This was the worst part of the movie. And Rick responds, "I'm the principal, man," and rides away on his motorcycle. Yeah, this I had a note. This had to be the cheesiest, most 80s part of this movie.
I think
Oh,
there are so
so
many
bad.
so cheesy, so 80s, like, okay, so
This
when
movie
Ray
just oozed 80s.
oh, so much. So when Ray Don Chung, Hillary Orozco, when she goes to tell Rick, first
Oh,
of
I
all, she
forgot to
goes,
say I had a crush on Ray Don Chong in the 80s.
everybody did.
She
She
was
still
awesome.
looks super good today.
Yeah,
Like, I think she's in
yeah.
her 60s. She looks amazing.
Yeah.
Um, but when she goes to tell Rick that she's applied for a job at a boarding school in Connecticut and she got it, he's like, "Okay, cool, handshake." No problem. And
Because
then
they
she
had
just
dinner
kinda
before that, and he thought maybe something was happening.
Yeah, no.
No,
There was definitely not.
no, bunch of
So then
bullshit.
they end up, like, walking and then she comes back to the school, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And she's like, "This is my classroom."
Yeah,
And I'm like, "Oh, this is the redemption moment that is always
yeah.
in 80s movies where you think someone has given up, but then they think about it and they're like, 'No, I really can't let this go. I have to be dedicated.'" I'm like, "Right, that's what's happening here." There was a lot of cheesy 80s in this.
Yeah, especially some of the action that didn't make like that whole because the plot didn't go over it where he after he gets his El Principal helmet and bike, he
Mhm.
goes looking for Victor, finds them. I can only guess those were a couple of the Hell's Angels that were hired to work on the movie. And he beats the crap out of them while circling them on a motorbike. Not just one
Yes.
car, two cars. You know how difficult that would be or how easy it would be just
And
to push him as he goes by?
and he's knocking the product out of their
With
hands
the baseball
and with the
bat,
baseball bat, and
they're
I'm
all
like,
kerfuffled. Like, "What do
"No."
we do?"
Yeah,
When
they're
someone
all
should
it
have
was
just
like, "Are
said,
you fuck" and then
"Fucking push him."
one of them finally pulls out a gun, and Victor's like, "No, I'll
"No, let
kill
me
him."
I'll do
And
it."
then he doesn't do anything. I'm like, "The fuck?"
But the chase after that wasn't bad.
Yes.
Yeah, and pulling into the school and then looking up and seeing all the kids looking down.
Yeah,
Yeah, no one
and
saw
then
nothing.
yeah, nobody saw nothing. I was like, "Well, what did you expect, man? Did you expect everybody to be like, 'Oh, yeah, no, I totally witnessed that?'" The crazy drug dealer who drools whenever he's angry? Yeah, I saw him beat you. Like,
Yeah.
no. Also, I wanna give, a special shout out to, Emily, the ex-wife,
Oh,
for one line that she uses in the beginning when Rick gets drunk and then tries to convince her that he's still a good choice, and she says that she's done with his frat brat Peter Pan bullshit,
yeah, that was a good line.
and I was like, "I need to use that forever and maybe get that put on a t-shirt."
What, no more?
I know they were trying to catchphrase that shit,
That's what you
and
can
it
do
was
when you're mad at work, you just start screaming,
no
"No
more.
more!"
Every time someone tries to send me an email, I just write
Yeah,
back, "No more."
yeah, send a picture of your baseball bat with it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this
It's
chick's nuts.
terrible. Oh my
But I
god.
did like how because for being an '80s movie and as cheesy as it was, he didn't get his wife back,
No, thank God for
and
that.
that you would have easily thought that would have happened.
Mm.
Alright, so let's do our score, and we now do buy it, rent it, stream it, skip it. You can cheat by doing, like, buy it, but at a discount, rent it at a discount, for, like, a point 0.5. But what's your score? Buy it, rent it,
Rent
stream it,
it
skip it.
at an extreme discount.
So what
Like,
would
if
that
this
be?
shit's up for 99 cents,
2.5.
do it. Because this is the thing. Yes, stream it, sure. If you don't have to pay for it, don't pay for it, but watch this movie. Because here's the thing. It is a very, very quintessential 80s movie, and it feels like they took every single trope that is, like, quintessential 80s, and they were like, "We're gonna shove them all into this movie."
Yeah.
I know this is probably gonna be blasphemous, but I'll say this. Jim Belushi was not funny in this movie.
He had a couple
I think
funny
I laughed
lines.
at one thing. There were many lines that were supposed to be funny. I only laughed at one. Louis Gossett Jr., I laughed at him all the time. His delivery was on point. I was like, "You're kinda awesome." There are bright shining stars, and the cheese is worth it in this movie to, like, rent at an extreme discount, where I'm like, if you're in the mood for a really, really cheesy, kinda eye-rolling 80s movie, this is it. Still not that good, but
Rent at a discount.
extreme discount.
That's like the Apple TV 99 cent.
Yes, correct.
All right, my score. Where most of our white saviors tackle their schools or classroom with morals and the desire to instill change, Principal Latimer changes it because he has no choice. He has nowhere to go. He does not want to be there. He wants to leave. It isn't until he starts to get small results that he finds it worthwhile. This is an 80s movie through and through, like I said before, and it's full of nostalgia. It is a fun story. It has action. Some of it's fun. It has one-liners. Like I like not all of Jim Belushi's, but I did like his character. But I'm a big Jim Belushi fan. Louis Gossett Jr., like the thing with the jelly beans and like the coffee, and yeah, he was good. I would kind of wish him and Ray Dong Chong had a little more, and it kind of hinted that there was a lot more shot. Yeah. And yeah, there was a lot of story I think got cut, unfortunately. And it was still an hour and 49 minutes. But great 80s actors. Although I will say for an hour and 49 minutes, I just have the note here, I just said it, could use a lot more of Louis Gossett Jr. and Ray Dong Chong. This movie is a relic of the 80s, and that is fine. It is an action movie with comedy, with drama, set in a violent, chaotic high school setting. It is cheesy and silly at times, but it didn't diminish my enjoyment. And I do have fond memories of this movie. While I would not want to be enrolled at Brendel High, I would, however, love to go back and wander its violent halls and with the crazy principal again. I don't know if I would watch it enough to warrant a purchase. And maybe if it was on sale, because of that nostalgia, my personal nostalgia, I might buy it on sale. But I would have to score it. I would have to say rent it. It's a lot of fun for an 80s movie. I can't in good conscience tell someone to buy this movie.
No. And I even rental for full price. I'm like, it's too much. But I do think it's a really, like, if you are into cheesy, cringy 80s movies,
Yes, this is
your jam.
Yeah.
Like, this is the ultimate. But if you have watched a cringy, cheesy 80s movie and you couldn't stomach it, don't watch this. This is not for you.
No.
Overall, it was okay. I didn't particularly like it, but I also didn't hate it.
Yeah.
It had its moments. Quite a few things made me laugh. Unfortunately, Jim Belushi was not one of those things, which surprised me. But I think it was just his character and what they were trying to, like, they gave him one-liners and they gave him jokes, but the jokes fell flat. And I felt for him because I was like, you could do, they didn't give you the material to work with.
Right. But you did like Louis Gossett Jr.
Love him.
Yeah.
His character was the greatest. There's one line about goosebumps.
Oh yeah, when he gives
Where he's
that
like,
speech.
I got goosebumps. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you
Look,
see my
there's
goosebumps?
one right here.
Look. It's like, fuck. You're the ultimate troll. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And I love that. Also, it concerned me that Victor Duncan looked older than Jim Belushi.
He did look older. And
By,
see, when
like,
I saw this as a
decades.
kid, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
When I watched it the other day, yeah, definitely saw that.
But that's also a thing when you're a kid.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
a 30-year-old and a 50-year-old are just both old to you.
Yeah.
You can't distinguish.
And that's one of the things about me still liking this movie. This has a lot to do with me loving this movie as a kid. Though I've watched many movies that I loved as a kid and watched through this that
I'm not
worked
gonna
out very
lie.
well.
I did dance a lot to the soundtrack, like to the music. I was like, yeah.
It was so 80s
So
from
80s.
start to finish. And
Oh,
they thought
100%.
that music was tough, and it is not.
No.
It's catchy.
Oh, very catchy. Very, very catchy.
And could it be rebooted today? I said no. You couldn't have a principal smacking kids around.
Actually, I think you could.
Yeah?
I think you could. I think you could reboot this. I think you could have the principal smacking the kids around 100%. I don't think he would be as obvious about it. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I
Get
don't
them
think
when
you
they
could
don't have their
have
phones.
the principal be white.
And smacking the kids. No, probably not. No.
I think that would be like, you can't have a white guy doing that because that's, especially in a school that's predominantly like 90% minority.
Yeah.
You can't.
No.
That's going to be a whole that's no longer white savior, then that's white supremacist. Like, you can't have a white principal at that point. And that movie would never make it. But I mean, if you just had a principal who was like, well, shit, I gone done fucked up my life. Now
Yeah.
I'm stuck here. Let's see if we can make it tolerable so I don't end up losing my mind. Yeah, I think you could remake that.
Yeah, after seeing the kids at my kids' school. You should smack them around. Kids are the worst.
Says the guy with how many kids?
5.
Yep.
All right. So I said rent it. Anna said rent it at a discount.
Extreme discount.
So for the podcast, we hope you enjoyed our review of The Principal. Please check us out on Facebook or Twitter or TikTok or Instagram. And if you like to watch our live recordings, we are live every Wednesday at 9 p.m. on YouTube and Facebook and Twitter. Or you can watch the podcast in full on YouTube every Sunday. It's released, or listen to a new episode every Sunday where you got this episode. Thank you for listening. And until the next movie we remember liking.
Congratulations. You just had one of your childhood movie memories vindicated. Or they just eviscerated it. I don't know. This is a generic one-size-fits-all type of ending to the podcast. So thank you for listening, and please join Anna and Jimmy next time for another episode of the I Remember Liking That Movie podcast. If you dare to go back and watch that movie you remember liking,